Yeah, I'm subbing up. Yeah, I'm subbing up. It's my subbing sound.
It's that cyber sound. It's that cyber sound. It's that cyber sound. Ah! Ragecore. I don't know if I could be seen well. I'm using a different camera than usual. Yeah, so got some interesting shit to talk about. Chuck, got some interesting shit to talk about. So tomorrow, something really cool. For the first time, hopefully they'll let me be able to bring a camera. I am going to see Sybyr live. If you don't know who Sybyr is, he was in my documentary. He's pretty much one of the people to like identify the exact sound of ragecore, trap metal, whatever. The sound that everyone uses, distortion and all that. He basically did that shit first. That's in the documentary if you watch that. I'm gonna go see him live. I'm excited as fuck. So yeah, it's gonna be lit. It's gonna be lit. If I'm not able to record it, I don't know. I'll try to get whatever I can. But you know, if I can't bring a camera or whatever, they do some fuck shit because it's DC. DC's trash. We'll try to bring. I use my phone. Anything, whatever I can get. But that's just some exciting ass news. Hopefully, I can get an interview. Maybe if not, don't. I'm trying. Okay, look, I got project. Okay, don't ask too much. Anyway, it's something I've been wanting to talk about for a brick. As you know, quote unquote trap metal rage, you know, this channel mostly built on that, but I do affiliate with emo rap or sad rap or whatever you want to call that, other stuff, and shadow rap, the Suicide Boys, Bones type rap style. Like I say, again, it goes back to the documentary. The documentary kind of like is mostly what I think of here when I think of this music. So like I said, I think of it like a trinity. I think of like trap metal rage, whatever you want to call it, sad boy, emo rap, and dark trap, shadow rap. But like, it's just a trinity. Artists usually fall into the category of these three. Like, you know, they do three. Like Convoke kind of does. They either do 2/3 or all three of these. You know, like Suicide Boys does trap metal and shadow rap. Convoke actually, I recently heard, does trap metal.
6th grade, I was gonna shoot up the whole school. Mama died, I started talking smack, and a few rules. You say you hard, but I saw you in a tutu. Soft as a kid, but I'll also fucking shoot you. 6th grade, I was gonna shoot up the whole school. Mama died, I started talking.
Shout out Vibes Forever for that. I mostly focus on trap metal, ragecore, but I do dabble in emo rap and shadow rap as well. Now, the one thing I want to talk about, it's a thing that I'm going to give it a term because it's something we all notice, but I'm just going to be the first one to call it out. It's this thing that goes on with the mass people that know about trap metal. It's the SCARLXRD effect. Now, I'm calling it the SCARLXRD effect, even though it's really just SCARLXRD, but it's something that I just don't really like, and I've talked to different people about this throughout the season. The thing that is known, it's just, again, no one's really come up and talked about it yet. The SCARLXRD effect is basically the casual fans of quote-unquote trap metal really aren't trap metal fans. They're just SCARLXRD fans. Now, coming from me, I love SCARLXRD. I'm a SCARLXRD fan. There's no disrespect to him. But it's just kind of annoying how people claim to be trap metal fans and they only listen to SCARLXRD. And there's a few people that might be more in depth just know SCARLXRD and Zilla Kami. And I don't even really consider Zilla that much trap metal. He did used to do it like before he blew up. But he just does more rap now. It's just people only know SCARLXRD. They're like, yeah, I like trap metal. I just like SCARLXRD. And they say Suicide Boys, who's really just shadow rap. You know, or Ghostman. And he just does experimental shit. He doesn't even scream that much. He just, you know, does weird rap shit. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying any of these people are bad. Don't take me wrong. That's just what it is. And it's even in the media. Like, the small media channels, like, much bigger than me, but still small, like, I'm a fan of the channel like Blackie Speaks. If you know Blackie Speaks, he had a video, if I can't recall, the appeal of SCARLXRD. It's these little channels that just, they only talk about SCARLXRD. Now, SCARLXRD is the biggest one to do it, but he is not the only one. Shout out Sinister. Sinister made a point, which he does have a point, where it's just a niche. He's like, there's a sound, I'm not going to say any names, but there's a sound that people do. They just use they use a lot of distortion. I'm sure if you're in the scene and you know me, you know these people. So they use a lot of distortion. People, you know, like Sinister says this a few times, it's called a niche. And a niche is just something that only a small group of people really listen to. It's not something for the masses. And SCARLXRD doesn't carry that niche. He has a really, you know, clear quality sound even when he screams. Doesn't use that much distortion. He might distort his 808s a little bit, you know, but everything else is just that. I get that. Maybe he's just more appealing to the crowd, but let's not act like he's the only one still doing this. He's not the only one that uses, you know, less distortion or whatever that is, or I don't know. It's just annoying. It's like, okay, it's this thing that goes around when they like rage is not growing. I disagree with that entirely. I think rage has the ability to grow. Sure, it won't be as big as, you know, whatever's hot now, like the rap that's hot now. I get that. That's not, I'm not saying that, but there's still some things that are just more known than others. Slipknot used high distortion. Slipknot is one of the largest metal bands of all time. Hatebreed is one of the biggest hardcore bands. Like, they all use high distortion. But the SCARLXRD effect is just kind of the thing. It's like you ask the casual fan. So it's not a hate thing. It's just it's frustrating when you're doing things like this and it's like you don't. My introduction to it, when I first heard, if you don't know, my introduction was the first trap metal song I ever heard, period, was XXXTentacion, I'm 17 Year Hood. That's my introduction. SCARLXRD was like the second person I heard. Then I heard Kamiyata Project, whatever. They came later. And when I first heard that, my literal instinct is, what the fuck is this? You know what I mean? What sound is this? You don't hear this a lot. You don't hear this really at all. It's rap, but it's really, really distorted rap with screaming, which is qualities of metal and hardcore. I personally never listened to metal and hardcore, so I didn't know what to look up. And we all went through this, you know, and then the term, even though it's not that well of a known term, it's more known than anything else, is trap metal. That's the term that just kind of came out of this. And that's what I started looking up. Then I found Void Tracks and Dark Tones and Vibes Forever and all that. And that's how I started finding more artists. But no one is doing that. They just look at SCARLXRD and then they just wait for SCARLXRD's next thing. Or SCARLXRD and SCARLXRD. And Zilla had a little noise with whatever shit he did. And then people started hearing that. Oh, he's like SCARLXRD. Jumex came out. Oh, he's like SCARLXRD. It's just kind of annoying, man. It's like, it's the SCARLXRD effect. And of course, SCARLXRD isn't going to shout people out, but he works very closely with Muppy. Muppy, if you don't know, was in the scene. One of the first songs I ever heard of Muppy that I should have mentioned in my Who Is Muppy video is a song called Gigi Allen. It was him. Sorry if I can't remember everybody that was in it, but it was Muppy. It was Killy Bowler. I think it was produced by Pulse. Yeah, it was a handful of people. It was like a K9 thing. So Muppy probably wasn't in K9, but he was affiliated with it. Navi and Indigendo. I'm sorry I can't pronounce his name. Indigo. Yeah, that's just. Muppy has been around for a minute. And it's just kind of annoying how he's even like working really close with SCARLXRD as one of the few people that actually have collaborations with him in music. But people still don't know who the fuck Muppy. That's why I had to make that video. I'm like, this is SCARLXRD's producer, and someone, it's not as common as it should be. I had one person in my comments like, I had to come here after listening to. I'll put it up on the screen. This him? Really? No one is looking at that. Like, that goes to show people look at the face of something. And again, it's not hate to SCARLXRD. SCARLXRD is doing his thing. Obviously, SCARLXRD is the biggest one doing this. And like I said, I'm a SCARLXRD fan. It's just annoying how there's people that, some have been doing it before him, some around the time he was doing it, and some a little after, but they innovate the sound. It's not like they're copying him. He just acts like he's the only one doing this, and people see it that way, like Blackie Speaks.
SCARLXRD obviously falls under the category of trap metal, and there's a bunch of artists who fall under that category, like Zilla Kami, who's been doing a really good job with that style. And then of course we have Suicide Boys, Ghostman is another one, and then let's not forget Bones, who isn't necessarily on the extreme side of trap metal, but he does have a lot of music where we can hear a lot of that style in it.
They make it seem like Scar's the only person, and he's not. He wasn't for the longest time. X was kind of before Scar. Project might have had. I think Project had a few songs before Scar that were that type of style. That's really why I wanted to do this so much, is because it's that is the whole premise of why I made this channel. I heard it and I was like, bro, there has to be more information on this shit. And it's like, because people have found, like, just do me alone, people have found other artists that they love that make similar music to the stuff that they listen to. But it's because artists are not interconnected. They don't like to shout each other out. It's like we're not really a community anymore, or we never really were. They make it seem like everyone is just singular doing their own thing and no one's doing their style. There's an entire community, and it's like I'm just trying to be that person, that spider, octopus, whatever web that's just trying to connect everything. Scar isn't doing that. He's just the biggest one, so people hear him and whatever. I don't know. It's just trap. It's like so far. So if I ask Blackie Speaks, and again, shout out to him. I love his channel. But just another thing to add. If Blackie Speaks says trap metal, it's a genre. It's a new genre. Who else is he gonna name? Scar, Zilla, maybe Ghostman, and Ghostman doesn't even do it like that. Suicide Boys does shadow rap. They very rarely even scream in their shit. Who else? Jumex. No one likes Jumex. He's making our scene look bad. No one likes him. They call him an industry plant or whatnot. No one else does that shit. But that's popular besides SCARLXRD and Zilla. How is it a genre with just two people in it? There's a whole community. That's just my frustration. Might not make sense to people. Whatever. But that's just my 2 cents. I call it the SCARLXRD effect. Anyone that comes out, that comes new in the scene, it's going to seem hard and it's going to seem tough to get out, because people that do have a name only fucking talk about him. They only fucking talk about SCARLXRD. And it's coming from a SCARLXRD fan. I like SCARLXRD. Contrary to what everyone else thinks. I like Scar. I like his music. I met him, everything. I'm not just saying that because I met him. I think he's dope. It's just, my only thing is I wish he made a gateway. When X came into the scene, he made a gateway for people. Scar isn't making a gateway. Really, the reason half of these people have a name is because, the high distortion that X used or Sybyr used, they kind of made it, even though they don't like people copying them, they made that gateway a little more open. Scar isn't doing that. Zilla's not doing that. Zilla doesn't even want to be called trap metal or rage or whatever. He just does his own shit. It's like everyone, I'm just kind of tired of hearing that. But that's just something in music, and that's a different topic we're talking about. Like the punk rock NBA. When they talked about it, like the most recent video they made of I think it was why rap is winning and why rock is not. They mentioned SCARLXRD, right? Trap metal. That's the only thing. That's the only person they ever mentioned is SCARLXRD. That's it. Like Blackie Speaks in the punk rock NBA. Hello Yassine. I think he's done it. Don't take Hello Yassine as word of mouth. And I'm subscribed. I love punk rock NBA. I love Blackie Speaks. I love him. I listen. I watch all that shit. That just annoys me when they finally talk about trap metal. I'm like, okay, they're gonna talk about new artists. It's just SCARLXRD every time. Maybe Zilla. There's more people. There's a whole community. And it's like, come on. You can't tell me that every single person in the community is worse than SCARLXRD. Even if you think SCARLXRD is the best, there's people that make similar shit to him that are worth a listen. You tell me you only listen to SCARLXRD. For me, that's headache inducing to only hear SCARLXRD and his loud ass scream. And I love Rage. Only listen to him? I don't know. I'm gonna sound like a hater. Like I said, I love Scar. That's just it. Anyway, last thing. Trap metal being... Oh, and another thing I have to mention. Last thing I want to talk about. Trap metal being the new rock, right? So, if you remember coming up in the 2000s, you probably weren't old enough to really do it, but the thing to do was to get the local kids in our neighborhood that can either play an instrument, learn how to play an instrument, maybe learn from school, make a band. What I love about this trap, all this underground, new underground shit, you don't have to do that anymore. You can be a solo artist. And you see how like bands always break up, come back together. It's always an issue or whatever. You don't have to do that anymore. And again, Punk Rock NBA talked about this too, so shout out to him. I'm not trying to steal your content, but this is something I wanted to make for a while in a video. This new scene is just kind of the new way to start bands, right? It's the new subcultures, right? It's like whatever the punk was for hardcore and heavy metal, they just moved to trap metal. Whatever emo kids were for, emo and pop punk, just moved to emo rap, sad rap. Whatever, like the horrorcore fans or whatever, just moved to shadow rap. Whatever, Memphis rap, they just moved to shadow rap. It's just a newer form of all that shit. And it's solo. You can have collectives. It's kind of like a band. You just have collectives. You have different people that do different things. but you're your own artist. You know, if someone in a collective sucks, they don't say, oh, what's it called, sucks. It's because they suck. They'll just say they suck. Right? Not your collective, not you. So that's a good thing. I feel like that's just the more immaculate way, and I can't wait to see what else comes out of it or what else gets innovated into it. So, yeah, that's really it. I think that's pretty cool. But, like I said, shout out everybody. Whoever the artist was I had in the background will be in the description. Like I said, stay tuned for the Sybyr show. And, yeah, I look so stupid.